But if you love it and you love embroidery, then you have a chance of becoming a good beader. I am Bessie Nelson. They call me Bessie the Beader. I started my career in beading when I was 9 years old. My mother's sister, Aunt Jenny, used to take the work home, and I used to lay under her frame and look up at the beads and sequins going onto the garment, and I was mesmerized. And I asked her to teach me, and she said, "You're too little to learn this." And I said, "Oh, please, please, I love it." And she says, "If I teach you, you can't go out with the children, play. You have to really, if I'm going to teach you, you have to really be serious." And so I was, and she taught me, and the first week's pay was $3. And I ran up the stairs and gave the $3 to my mother. From New York, I moved to California. We opened a little shop in Crossroads of the World on Sunset Boulevard. And we said, "Oh, we'll try to get customers, and we'll do okay." But the first week we got so many customers, we had to work night and day. We couldn't believe it. We were so in demand because we were very good beaders, I must say. And from there we got clients like John Louis, who did all Loretta Young's gowns, and we worked with Nolan Miller, and then Bob Mackie came along, and we did a lot of the movie stars. We did the Carol Burnett show, Cher show, Sonny and Cher, and many movies and many of the stars. We became famous almost overnight. They knew of us in Canada, they knew of us in Europe, in France, and we made a career of it. A good beader is that you are very picky about your work, and you're going to do a wonderful job, and you're going to do work that doesn't pull out. And the way I taught girls, I taught about 21 girls for the Michael Jackson tour, and they had to I was very strict in my teaching because I didn't want work that just pulled out, had to be repaired. Because with threads and beads and the different things you have to do, you need to have knowledge on how to do it and to do it right. When I moved back to New York and Ray Aguillon called me to do him the favor, it was his cruise line, Bob Mackie's cruise line. And they begged me to go to New York and speak to these two designers that were creating it, and I did some work for them, and I did the whole cruise line. And that started me. Everybody kept calling me, "Oh, please, we have some work. We know of you, and can you come in and look at the sketches?" And that's how it started. And I just stayed in New York. The first show I did was Guys and Dolls. And I made him some samples. He looked at them. He agreed with them, and we went from there. And then I did with Anthony Powell. He's a great designer. He did Sunset Boulevard with Glenn Close. I went to the fittings with her. She was wonderful. And Anthony Powell took me to see one of the dress rehearsals, and it was absolutely beautiful. And besides Anthony Powell, of course, Bob Mackie, Galanos, Bill Whitten, who's deceased, and we did all Michael Jackson's with Bill Whitten. And we created the glove. We must have made six gloves because he had to, wave and do all that. And then we made socks for him, and we did all his jackets. I worked at Barber Matera's Limited. The girls, they would come in the cast to get fitted, and then they would do a muslin on them, and then they would do the pattern, and they would mark the pattern on the fabric, and then I would get it to do the beading. And I would most likely do samples, different little sketches to show the designer, and he would pick out what he liked. And lots of times I didn't like what they wanted, so I would be naughty and I'd do a little one of my own, and lo and behold, they would pick my sample. This is Bette Midler's Hello Dolly. This is the understudy I'm doing. I already did Bette Midler. And they mark it. This is a piece of fabric that a pattern is put here. And if you see this with the lines, this is a pattern drawn out. And I do the beading within the pattern with the sample I made. And I continue to do that. And I send it back to the studio that builds the costumes. And then it goes back to the shop where they build the costume. And they make it up, and that's the final thing before it goes into the theater to present it. And they have to build these dresses and gowns and costumes so well. That's why they say they build them, because they have to last on stage, and they have to be worn day in and day out, and they have to hold up. And I have a reputation for my work to hold up very well, so that made me very happy. It used to be seasonal, where you would be very, very busy, and then it would die down. But now I find that it's all year round. It's busy all the time. In fact, the theater, they love to see sparkle, in the theater. And with the lighting and everything, the sparkle comes out. They're beautiful. It's very important to work with the designer, because whatever they have in their mind, they make the sketch, you have to really hear what they want to put on the garment, and you try to create a sample that they're going to approve of. And I've been very lucky in that area. I loved it. It's my heartbeat. I love it so much that as old as I get, I will never stop till the last day. Bunch of beads. Takes time, this is not a job where you could just throw it together. You have all these, and sometimes the string breaks and the beads go all over the floor. If there's an imperfected bead in the string, you could feel it with your finger, and this here makes you go like this, and you take the imperfected bead and you break it out.